Hey, so I like Shovel Knight. I don't know if you heard about it, but it's this kind of like niche indie game that came out a few years ago. I enjoy it. I don't know if too many other people out there care enough about it, like donating a bunch of money to help support the game be released. But I mean, I certainly appreciated the game. Honestly, I spent more time playing it than I think I have playing most other video games in my time. I remember playing it when I was a child after having pretty intensive ear surgery done. So it's just kind of been one of those games that's been constant with me. I even played it more recently just because I really wanted to get back into it. And I think more than anything, one of the reasons why I always gravitated to it was myself being an artist and always appreciating, excellent character design. I always admired all the effort that went into designing the bosses of the games. I just thought they all looked very unique from each other, and I really enjoyed their differences and how you could very clearly tell their entire, personality and play style just by looking at them from a first glance. It really helps you going into a boss fight whenever you can just look at them and know, oh, this guy's on fire and he's in the ground, and his name is Mole Knight and he's very round. I think he's going to be on the ground a lot. And then he shoots through the air from the ground, so I guess I was still technically right. Anyways, let's just jump right into it. Alright, so the first new boss I came up with was honestly something that I've just been racking my brain with a lot recently. I've been knee deep into like the Alice in Wonderland, kind of lore recently. So I've been really researching that. It's been really getting a hold on me. So I got all this admittedly useless knowledge about a children's book released before anyone I knew was born. So I figured I might as well throw it in here, considering it could at least be a little fun, I guess. So we got Rabbit Knight. Now, this is very clearly Alice in Wonderland inspired. Anyone can tell just by looking at it that has seen a Disney movie before. I'll try to work in some of the more iconic aspects of Wonderland, as well as some more niche subjects, I guess, although I doubt you can really call it niche with so many new pieces of media that take influence looking at all the other stories and just kind of throwing them in there. So I guess it's not really all that original when you think about it. But I mostly just wanted to focus on a few of the main aesthetics that they use to define Wonderland throughout the years. So rabbits, tea, playing card aesthetics. I try to go with all that really. I really wanted to keep Alice's iconic blue dress and that apron thing she wears. I don't know if it's an apron. I don't know fashion that well. I just wanted to keep that, considering it is such an iconic look, and I think it helps build a really good frame, or an outline, I guess you could say. So I was initially working on it. I was trying to think how I can incorporate that into a combat design. Obviously, I just wanted straight away you can put rabbit ears on a helmet. Boom, Rabbit Knight. You got a knight. That's a rabbit. Bada bing, bada boom. You're done. There you go. And then I had to figure out how you turn this tea sipping little girl into a knight or something. And I didn't just want to go full Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland and just make her certified girl boss moment. I wanted to make it more in the house style for Shovel Knight still. So I really just kind of looked at all the smaller characters in the games. So Tinker Knight and Plague Knight. I kind of use them as reference because I think given how the story and Alice's character works throughout it, of course given her age, I think it would work best if she was a small character that runs around and messes with the player instead of just fighting them directly like most do. So I thought it'd be pretty interesting if I just gave her the iconic Vorpal Blade as her primary weapon, and she could have multiple other forms of attacks that she can do. She could throw playing cards around. That could be something interesting. I also think she could summon card platforms that she could jump around on, and maybe even spilling tea from really high altitudes to really get it all over the player and kind of scald them a little bit. I think that would all be unique forms of attack that would really have to keep the player on their toes to avoid. I was also thinking that she could use her knife to mix in with the card attack in a way where she throws all the cards in a spiral, or not spiral, but in a diagonal pattern, so it's one shooting out in a bunch of different directions. But one of the cards gets replaced with the Vorpal Blade that after spinning for a little bit will go back to Alice and a boomerang effect. And I think that could be useful to really mix up the player as kind of a trick in a way. I think that'd be pretty cool. Oh, for the design of the Vorpal Blade, I really took inspiration from American McGee's Alice games, which I've been getting into those a lot recently, which I guess is where most of my like design elements came from. Oh, I forgot to mention when I was like starting this one, I like set the wrong like presets in Photoshop, so you'll probably see when I zoom in on the picture and like the recording of me drawing it, it's gonna look real pixelated. That's just because I set the wrong resolution. The other two are fine. I had them set higher. It's just my bad on this one. For her stage, I figured it'd be really interesting since Wonderland's kind of like a very fantastical world with a bunch of different weird aesthetics to it. You could just make a deep forest with like multiple flashing colors for like the trees and the leaves and all that. I figured that'd be pretty, baseline Wonderland to work with. A couple spiraling shapes in the background just to make them go insane. I figured you could also have like a few weirder enemies. Like I forget the name of the little dog enemy chest that bumps around. But I figured you could put something like that, but it like has smaller enemies that come out of it. Maybe like not leeches, fleas or something that'll bounce around for a little bit. I figured that would be interesting since players would be like so used to it. Throwing out treasure, so they would try to hug it as they attack it, but then have enemies come out of it instead would really kind of like throw them off for a little bit. I think trickery is my main theme with like Rabbit Knight and her whole stage. I was also thinking of like including the playing card platforms from Alice's moveset into the stage just so the player will get accustomed to them quickly. I think more than anything, it would work well if they like pop in and then like not fold away, but like disappear after a set amount of time and then reappear. So it'd be like a platforming challenge you have to perform quickly. Those normally, I enjoy those mostly whenever playing through Shovel Knight. I think they're pretty fun and like a neat test of the player's abilities. I was also thinking of having like towards the end, having like a real difficult platforming gauntlet where the player has to time their jumps on like flying bird platform enemies, but it's all completely over like a bottomless pit with maybe only a few like smaller stationary islands for the player to rest on for a little bit. I figured that would be like an interesting challenge that would probably make a younger version of myself go into a deep gamer rage. Oh, I also think having splitting pathways throughout the stage would be, I don't know if it'd be fun or just like troublesome, because it would play into Wonderland's whole thing of being like a confusing mess to navigate because it's like a bizarre dream reality. But I figured if you keep it down to like one or two screens that go on for no longer than like a minute, not even a minute, probably only like 30 seconds if you're like really trying to get through there, I figured that would be a way to keep it like nice and easy so like you're not getting lost constantly. You put in little enemies, like little rabbits that jump around the stage, kind of like the frogs from, what was it, Spectre Knight stage. You could have a gold armor variant that introduces the playing card throwing mechanic early on, so the player gets used to that. I also think it would be pretty cool to have like the Jabberwocky in as like a mini boss that could just like jump all across the stage that it's in and blow the player away with like wind blast. So it's like a challenge of having to get in close to it, but it pushes you away. I figured that would be like a neat little reference right there. Yeah, I think that's all for Rabbit Knight. I think she was like in concept, she's one of my favorites. I think her design came out well. She's probably my second favorite on the list in all honesty. I think her stage, like my idea for it, isn't very like well thought out in all honesty. I'll say that. I think it's something I have to think a lot more on, but I think it has a lot of potential to it considering, it literally is a fantasy world where any law goes. So you can always make up like weird, bizarre rules or whatever you want. I think it would be interesting, and honestly, I think this one out of all of them is like the most realistic idea that I came up with to actually see in a Shovel Knight game or like a sequel or whatever like that's coming out. So yeah, I ended up liking this one quite a lot. So yeah. I guess we'll move on to the next one then. Here for the next one, we have like a kind of funny idea that I came up with. I really just wanted to like, I had like one of those moments where you have an idea and you just run with it and you don't really think about like the consequences until you're already like halfway there. And you're like, well crap, I can't like stop now. I'm already halfway there. So here we have Comic Night. I literally just kind of like was thinking of things that you could turn into a knight, and I thought of a pencil, and I drew. I think the first thing I thought of was like, oh yeah, you can make like the eraser on his head. That you can make that the helmet, and you have like a divider that'll be like the metal part that holds on the eraser, and then his body will be really long like the pencil. So that was pretty much my only thought before I started. I had a quick sketch that I worked down, and I was pretty happy with it, so I decided to move on with that. I guess for Comic Knight, you know, very clearly he's just a number 2 pencil. I even had number 2 written on like the side of his shirt, like how you would a pencil. His sword, which I didn't realize it until I was like already knee deep in the design process, but I don't think there's an actual like Shovel Knight character that has a sword outside like a couple of them. Like Propeller Knight has one, I think. Then like, what was it? Yeah, there's like probably like a couple of the Wandering Warriors that have them. But yeah, whenever I was making them, I was more about like the funny concept really, because I was like, oh, you can have him be called Pencil Knight, and he can have like a bunch of art themed like stage hazards. And I was even thinking that like since he's like a pencil, oh, what if he was like a third wall breaker, and he was like kind of like Deadpool a little bit. And he had like a funny personality where like makes quips. I don't think he'd be like nearly as annoying as Deadpool gets sometimes. Maybe just like fun little like, oh, video game. That's where we're at right now, huh? But I think he'd be fun. I mean, like, it's unique more than anything. I think this one's the most sort of most unrealistic out of all mine. It's like he's unrealistic for different reasons than number 3 is going to be. But honestly, this is the design that I had the most fun coming up with, because this is just something I think I would draw like just naturally throughout my daily process. I mean, like there's nothing much I can say about him. He's just a really long string bean boy with like long legs and arms. He was really awkward. He's pretty much just if you slapped a pink bucket on Waluigi and he proclaimed to be a knight now. Started wearing like yellow instead of pink. Which another comment on that, I didn't realize until I was already done coloring it, but his color design makes him look like a bee a little bit. Because he's all in like yellows and blacks. Kind of like a certain bee voiced by a certain comedian that you guys might know of. Makes a joke about airplane food. Oh, for his title card, I put in Comic Sans. Because Comic Sans. Yeah, if any of you guys want to like scream at me about Comic Sans in the comments, go ahead. I don't give a shit. I don't care. If you want to complain about it, scream all you want. No one will be there to listen to you. If you want to say something nice about Comic Sans, I will listen to you though. I don't like Comic Sans. I just find it easier to read in small text. So like whenever I like make game documents I send on my friends to proofread, they always yell at me about how it's in Comic Sans, even though it's like easier for me to read. Probably because I have some kind of like, I don't know, I guess high functioning dyslexia or something stupid like that. Oh yeah, another thing about his like design. When I was like initially coming up with all my sketches for all like the different like knight characters, I'll probably show all my sketches at the end, see if like you guys want to see any of the other ones that I came up with like kind of like finished out. But I think I've more than anything just try to make them all look different from each other in terms of like silhouette. So that's why like Rabbit Knight, she's real short and dumpy kind of, and Comic Knight is real tall and lanky, and our next guy, he's going to be a little chunky and tall. So they each all look different from each other, so you can like point them out from distance. Basic, you know, character design 101 really right there. But I had fun with it because, you know, there's only so many ways that you can show someone as having a very noticeable silhouette without retreading like ideas that have already been used. I think I did pretty alright with this. Although, like, when I think about it more, I took definitely heavy inspiration from Propeller Knight's design on this one, just because I like it a lot. With, like, the whole helmet shape and the baggy clothes. For, like, when it comes to gameplay for Comic Knight, honestly, for his whole, like, stage aesthetic, I really just wanted to do, like, Comic Zone, the old, like, Sega Genesis, like, side-scrolling beat-em-up game. I just think it's really rad. I can't beat it, because, like, it's a Genesis game that's meant to like make you play it over and over again. It's like balls to the wall hard. But like I just think it looks really cool and like neat, you know. I like the idea of like having to like flip through comic panels to like get through. And I think like having the hand of God literally come down and draw on the enemies and platforms as you go along would be like a pretty funny idea when you think about it. It would probably let the developers have a little bit more fun with the stage. You could probably like in universe justify it being like a like an abandoned village or something that Comic Knight wants to like revitalize with like life. So you could take that as like the excuse, and he's just like drawing over it. But it's like the hand of God, like the game developers literally drawing in the level as you progress. It's like maybe close to the end they have to like budget crunch or something to like get the rest of the elements in there. Maybe like if you like for like a fun speed running gimmick, if you like progress through level 2 quickly, you'll start having to deal with like purely black and white colors. Like the color will cut out just because like the devs didn't have the time to like properly color the backgrounds and characters, so it'll just be Shovel Knight running through a black and white like Peanuts comic with like of course like little enemies of the level running around. Yeah, I guess like most of like this entire idea is just kind of just like an elongated like combat-esque version of the Doodle Bob episode from SpongeBob. I think the fight with Comic Knight himself can be like it's a very malleable like setup, you know, because there's like a lot you can do with a character who literally draws in as he goes along. Obviously, with his like longsword, he'll be able to get some wide swipes in at you. But I think it'll mostly come down to him like drawing in smaller enemies to clutter the stage, or like creating walls that the player will have to jump over to like get to him, or maybe he'll have to jump over the walls to get to the player. It could be like a fun little thing where it's like not like randomly generated, but like it's not very predictable what he's going to do next, which I think would go along with like his character very well. I also think it'd be like pretty fun if you give him like a little wink and a nod. It's like the Darkstalkers series where he could have like when he reaches like half health, he have an attack where he literally draws in like a giant like fist of God to like slam Shovel Knight into the stage, and it'll like linger around for a little bit, so it'll act as like a platform before slowly being like, you know, erased and faded over time. Yeah, I think that's all I got for Comic Knight. I think this is one of the designs that I had like the most fun with. I definitely got to experiment a lot with like my like character design a little bit, because he's like a little bit more extreme than how I normally do things, which I think it was fun getting to like do something a little bit more outside my wheelhouse. Yeah, this is another one that's just like kind of like just really strange, because it's not like a very conventional idea. It's something that would take a lot of like thought and practice to get down right without it being annoying. But I think it can be fun, at least a little like interesting to like a little poke, wink, and a nod at, you know, completely obliterating the fourth wall as you play through the stage too quickly. But yeah, that was Comic Knight. I just think he's real fun, real long boy. And I really appreciate it. Some people, you know, we all just need a little long boy in our life sometimes. All right, now I got the last one. This guy's my favorite, actually. This is Merc Knight, alright? As in, like, Mercenary Knight. He's got a pretty red color scheme to him. So, yeah, this one's literally just based on, like, TF2, like, the Mercenary classes, kind of, like, all fused together. I was just, like, the third one, I already knew I wanted to do Rabbit Knight and Comic Knight. And I think I had, like, a different, like, idea ahead of time for the third one, like Hero Knight or something, but I ended up not really liking it as much, like, I think the third or the second time I looked at it. And then I like just started like coming up with other ideas just based on stuff I like, and I was like, well, really been wanting to play TF2 again. I was like, well, what if a knight had a rocket launcher? And I was like, well, you know, like rocket jumping, that'd be like a really cool mechanic to put in a platformer boss. And the rest is sitting before your eyes. Yeah, like Merc Knight's my favorite. Like, this is my favorite design out of all of them. I think you can mostly tell that because his like posing like gives more personality than like the rest of the guys I drew, which makes me feel really bad for the other guys, because like I mean I like them all, but this one's my favorite. I guess I ended up putting the most work into this one. You can like kind of tell when I like with all like the little references to each of the classes, like he's got like the pyro mask and the soldier rocket, and he's got like big heavy arms, and like some of the weapons he uses like on the side are also like not like obscurely, but like a little bit based on like the other characters. Like he's got a sniper rifle on his back he can use for like long range heavy shots, and like the Scout Sandman that he can use whenever like the player gets up close and he can smack them away with. Or he can even use it to use like the ball projectile and like probably like stun them from a distance at least a little bit. Oh, and when I was making this one, I kind of forgot I was doing like the black outlines for these guys. because I think I did this one like a couple days after I did the comic night drawing, so I ended up using like my normal method where I just take a darker color of my fill color and make that the outline. But I mean, like, I still think it turned out all right. I just wrote in my notes. Maybe he got pyrovision. Maybe he's a little sociopath. Maybe you don't know no better. I do hope he talks though, because I would really love to see like the funny, dare I say the word quirky, TF2 lines get like translated into the Shovel Knight games. Because I think that game's like legitimately funny, while still being like batshit insane. So I think it'd be fun to like I don't know, maybe like a little gimmick you could give him is like whenever the player dies to him in a fight, like just before, he could give like the soldier's little like L taunt and like scream dominated or something. Just really insult the player and make him mad. Kind of like how like in Cup Night. Or Cup Night? I know I'm doing the next video, guys. Cup Night. Like a Cuphead whenever the bosses taunt you after you lose. Yeah, I was talking about this guy being a little chunky. As you can see, this guy's pretty top heavy. I kind of like ended up giving him like this stock pose I've been doing real recently, where it's like kind of leaning on one leg, kind of like propped up with the other leg. I've been doing that too much. I think it's just because it's really easy. Because it's like, oh look, it's posing technically, but it's like not a lot of work goes into it, so it's really easy. Ooh, this stage the stage I had for him, like the idea, I think is like pretty unique when it comes to like the rest of the games. So what I was thinking of, you could have the stage based on like 2 Fort, and you start on like one side of the map, and the map just gets mirrored. Of course, with like the top of the tower, you can go and actually fight Merc Knight himself. But I was thinking, since it's 2 Fort and it's based on TF2, you could have all the enemies be exclusively red and blue colored, and the enemies will still damage you. Like if you touch them, they'll do damage to you. But they'll also damage each other. Like red ones will damage blue ones will damage red ones. And I figured it'd be like a fun little reference, and you could even, if you're like skilled enough at the game, you can completely go through the game, or like this stage, and you don't have to kill anyone, because they'll all be too busy killing each other for you. So like you can like watch the enemies take each other out before, and you don't even like have to work. You'll just have to take out whoever's left standing, really. I figured you could take like the underwater section of 2 Fort and like turn that into like its own like area where you can find like some treasure. You can also take like the intel rooms and put treasure there too. Maybe like some more like, maybe you can have like more enemies of that specific color closer to the intel with less enemies of the other color, because it make more sense to have more like blue enemies around the blue intel than red enemies around the blue intel, because that would make a lot of sense when you think about it. Merc Knight himself, like I kind of already said what I wanted to do. Just give him rocket shots, give him rocket jumps, give him sniper shots, maybe a short range like baseball just to stun the opponent, and if they get in close, he can like whop them real good with the Sandman. Dare I say even give this man a Bonka-Cola or Bonkatonic? That was the name. Give him a Bonkatonic. I expose myself, fake TF2 fan. Just kill me now on the streets, please. Yeah, maybe he can have some like invincibility off that or something for a little bit, or just deal like, oh no, give him random crits. Actually, that'd be kind of interesting. Like he had to do random crits, and if he gets one, instead of dealing like half a bubble, he'll deal a whole bubble. But it'd probably be like a lower odds of it happening, because honestly, it'd be kind of unfair if he could just score like a bunch of like crits just non-stop. So it'd probably be like a lower chance of him taking away a full bubble. But I figured that'd be a pretty cool way of like incorporating gameplay mechanics into this game. Yeah, I mean like it's putting a TF2 character in Shovel Knight. It's pretty straightforward when you get down the brass tacks of it. I don't really have too much else I want to comment on about him, other than that like he's my favorite, of course. I love his design a lot. I think this is the one I definitely had the most fun working on, especially with like the gameplay mechanics and like possibilities. I just think it'd be like really cool, and like this is like, it really sucks because this is like the most like unrealistic idea I think out of all of them I've had, considering it's like a trademark property by Valve. But like Shovel Knight's on Steam, I'm pretty sure. So like maybe they could make like a deal or something, kind of like how like the Team Fortress 2 character in the Steam version of, what was it, Sonic Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed. So I mean like maybe like an exclusive to Steam or something, but I just figured it'd be neat. I would love to see it one day more than anything, because I think this one actually has the best possibility of being like a fun like real stage and like fun real boss fight. So yeah, that's been Merc Knight. All right, that's all the bosses I got for right now. I really had a lot of fun making all of them. It really helped me I found like a deeper appreciation for the Shovel Knight art style afterwards. Like for example, I kind of knew, but I sort of didn't know. I didn't like pay attention to the thought. But like Shovel Knight characters only have like 4 fingers, which like I'm sure if I saw it and looked at it, I would notice. But I didn't commit it to solid memory until I was like looking up references for like art. I kind of got to like admire the art a little bit more and realize how difficult it is to find quality art of some of the characters that isn't just like a 240p image. God damn. But I mean, like overall, I think it was fun. Like a neat little exercise in like character design, little bit of game design. I'll probably throw up a few of the sketches the other nights I did. And if you guys want to see like any of those like done, like how I did the rest of these, let me know in the comments or whatever. I guess like just which ones you liked. If I see enough, I guess, recognition for them, try to get to them. I know some of them aren't very done. Like Goblin Knight, I think I just like drew the body and the head, and, like started on like the helmet. I'm like, I ain't feeling it, Chief. I remember a anonymous knight I really liked, but I couldn't think of a unique design element for him, like off the top of my head, really. That wasn't just like already used by another character or just felt like stereotypical to use. But yeah, this is like a new kind of like content I'm gonna try to make. On like a video like this is pretty easy to make. Just for me, trying to get it like more videos out there. I'll probably have a lot of these. I have like some bigger projects I want to work on coming out. So if you want to see more of this or like the bigger projects, they're more like in-depth like game design and kind of document kind of stuff. So like today I kind of gave like loose basis for ideas, but like these videos I have like hard cut rules of like how the games would work and like unique mechanics and all that, like pretty decently fleshed out, at least enough that you could like feasibly make like a decent fan game out of like the idea. So if you guys want to see any of this kind of stuff, you can subscribe if you want to, I guess. You don't gotta. I mean, like, it's not like anyone's gonna do anything about it. Unless they are. Because then they will, I guess. But, like, subscribe. Comment. Bell. I guess you start punching bells now. I think people do that. I don't know what Susan wants me to do. Or what YouTube wants me to do. Or Google or whoever's in charge around this dumpster fire of a website. But if you like. If you don't like it. If you hate me, I'm sorry you feel that way. If you hate the sound of my voice, that makes 2 of us. So that's been me for today. I'll try to upload maybe once every week, 2 weeks maybe. Probably end up being more like 2 weeks. I guess we'll have to see. I hope you guys don't mind like this kind of like rambly style of video. I have like a basic script lined out, but I mostly just kind of like bouncing around bullet points. I find it a lot more like natural to talk like this, and it comes off more authentic than if I write like a whole script and I sit down to like record and I sound like a Best Trends video. If you guys remember that. I sound like the Burger King Chills. I sound like Chills whenever I have to like read from a script. So that's been me. Like I said, if you like, subscribe if you want to. No one's going to do anything about it. I don't care. I'd appreciate it. It would make me smile and my day would be better. But other than that, I'll be going for today. I hope everyone watching this has a great morning, day, afternoon, or night. And I'll see you guys in the next one. So